Marvel Television's Daredevil Born Again Season 2, streaming on Disney Plus March 24th. Here we go, the SEC title game. Texas and South Carolina meeting for the 7th time in the last 421 days. Texas trying to win its first conference tourney title while in the SEC. South Carolina trying to win their 10th, all since 2015, and a 4th straight. Ryan Rucco, the Hall of Famers, Rebecca Lobo, Holly Rowe with you, our rules analyst, Dee Camner. Appreciate you hanging out with us for the SEC championship game. Vic Schaefer, 0-5 all-time against Dawn Staley in South Carolina in the SEC championship game. The first 4 of those meetings in Mississippi State, then last year at Texas. And Dawn Staley trying to make it 10 conference tourney titles, second most in conference history. Only Pat Summitt with more. Rebecca, I'm not sure there are 2 teams in college basketball that know each other better than Texas and South Carolina. 7th meeting in 421 days. Every meeting these 2 teams have been ranked in the top 5 nationally. What do you look for early as these 2 renew acquaintances?
And both of the previous matchups this season came down to last possessions. I'm looking at the stars in this one, Ryan Rucco. Madison Booker has been so good in this SEC tournament. Joyce Edwards, Raven Johnson have as well for South Carolina.
Here we go, Cunningham and O'Connor to jump it up, and Texas wins the tip.
Madison Booker knew exactly where that tip was going, just stepped right in front of it and stole it from South Carolina.
Here's Booker off a career-high 31 points last night in the semifinal win against Ole Miss. Carlton barging, dishing, Cunningham laying.
Ball security and taking care of the basketball, paramount for both teams as you see a turnover on the offensive foul right away.
Wow, Raven Johnson picks up the personal as Carlton took the contact.
Raven Johnson just kind of wasn't paying attention to that Carlton was coming up because her head was turned. She was worried about corralling the ball because Rory Harmon was right there. Heads-up plays to start the game right now from Texas, from the opening tip to that one right there.
Rory Harmon, Texas's all-time leader in assists and steals. Off to Lee. Now Booker. Finding Harmon. 2 to shoot. Harmon, the pull-up mid-range is good. And a strong start for Texas out of the gates.
Texas picking up enough their full-court pressure. That is what they do. They had success turning South Carolina over in the second matchup this season.
One of the things Vic Schaefer told us is, told my team, you have got to embrace this being a road game. This is a heavy, heavy Gamecock crowd in Greenville, about an hour and a half away from Columbia. Here's Lee, bouncing into Carlton. Carlton patiently takes and hits a 6-0 beginning for Texas.
Interesting, Joyce Edwards taking the 3 the last possession. Coming into this game, 2 of 9 from 3 on the season.
And it was early in the shot clock as well. Here's Edwards. Looking for the handoff on Raven Johnson. Good denial, and then Carlton the steal. Just as Carlton will lay it in 8-0 blitz from the Longhorns.
Vic Schaefer has to be thrilled with the effort and energy and defensive intensity his team has started this game with.
Told us this is about toughness and resiliency because that's what South Carolina brings. Booker on the knockaway. Lee feeds Booker for the lay. 10-0 Texas. And Dawn Staley letting her team play it out, not taking a timeout here. A nearly perfect beginning for the Longhorns. Knocked away, Edwards not able to save it as South Carolina turns it over again.
Texas creates so much of their offense with their defense. Just the poke away, Carlton getting an easy 2, and then Madison Booker doing the same thing. Great get-ahead pass by Rory Harmon. One more to Madison Booker. Offense has been easy because of the defense for Texas.
Already 4 turnovers for South Carolina. They turned it over 20 times in the last meeting. Booker, splash. It is 12-0 Texas. They are 6 of 6 from the floor. I mean, South Carolina's gotten just 1 field goal attempt. Tessa Johnson coughs it up. I'm going to say that last hit. South last hit Texas, and it will be South Carolina basketball. Raven Johnson, a senior leader, gathering her team, trying to calm them down. Such a steady presence. We saw that in the execution late game against LSU in the semifinals yesterday. Raven Johnson had a career high, 22 points in that game. Here's Raven, difficult pass, and it's another turnover, 5th for South Carolina. Carlton running and lays it in, and now Dawn Staley will take a timeout. It's a 2-touchdown lead, 3.5 minutes into the title game.
What an incredible start for the Texas Longhorns here. 14-0, blitzing in the first 3 minutes of this game. Another steal, pushing pace. Another layup for Texas.
An exquisite start for Vic Schaefer's Texas Longhorns, a 14-0 lead through the first 3+ minutes of this SEC championship game. 7 of 7 from the floor, 12 points in the paint for Texas. South Carolina facing their largest deficit at this tournament in the last 8 seasons. And Dawn Staley's team gives up fewer live ball turnovers than any team in the country, but already 5 of them here in the first that have led to 10 Texas points.
It's certainly the story, and South Carolina's defense has been really good all season long. They're having a hard time even inbounding again.
Yeah, Raven Johnson able to corral it after a lot of trouble.
But South Carolina hasn't been able to even set up their D.
Tessa Johnson with a big 3 there off the broken play.
Until this possession now. They score, now they can set it up. Now they can make Texas work for their points.
Here is Booker. Harmon backing away. Lee, 5 to shoot. Lee looking for some space, couldn't find it. Can't finish it. Out of bounds, last touch. Okaj, good effort by Carlton. And another chance here for Texas.
Vic Schaefer talked about turnovers and live ball turnovers being the #1 key for him. For Dawn Staley, it was getting to the defensive glass.
Harmon lobbing it in. Carlton, the push shot won't go. Another chance here for Texas as Carlton coughs it up out of bounds. South Carolina basketball.
And you see how Texas is in their full court pressure. They do not put someone on the basketball. So essentially, you're trying to have 4 players going against 5 until you get the ball in bounds.
Carlton with 6 first-quarter points, had 3 yesterday. Someone's down a shoe. It's Madison Booker. Raven Johnson, short. Cunningham the rebound. Booker going to go and try and retrieve her shoe. Tessa Johnson gives it to her. That was very nice, Tessa.
But it also smart. Hand it to her so she's out of the play. Throw it out of bounds. Yeah. She can still be on the part of the offensive set.
Good point. Harmon hits the jumper. Then Harmon chasing after Raven Johnson. Rory Harmon, Raven Johnson, 2 of the steadier, more cerebral orchestrators at the point in the country. Edwards gets denied and a held ball. Possession now belongs to South Carolina.
Texas's help side defense has been on point because that's a well-executed play by South Carolina. Edwards catches, and it's not her primary defender that prevents it. It's help side coming over. We've seen that a lot early here from Texas.
Okaj, jumper, no. And the rebound, Cunningham. Maddie McDaniel into the game for Raven Johnson. Dawn Staley was lauding McDaniel to us before the game, how proud she is of how well she has been playing her growth here this season. Harmon, short on that one. And McDaniel brings us something a little different than Raven Johnson.
Yeah, she's a little bit more dribble penetration from McDaniel. She can be feisty defensively. Has nice quickness as well.
Crowd wanted a foul there on Harmon. Ooh. Madison Booker will get called for the personal as she held up Tessa Johnson. And that's one foul on Booker. Raven Johnson being stretched out meanwhile. Texas a 16-3 lead on South Carolina. That was indeed number 1 on Booker. Always something to watch because she can find herself in foul trouble. Here's Latson. Latson gets denied. Cunningham giving Texas good minutes here in the first. The junior transfer from Arizona.
Again, help side defense comes over. Is Cunningham there to help her teammate Rory Harmon after she got beat.
Edwards, little wiener, rims off. Justice Carlton the rebound. Booker and Harmon communicating. Harmon telling Booker what she wants her to run. Carlton. Trying to hand it off to Booker. Good denial from Tessa Johnson. Now Booker the deep catch. Booker. Sidestepping 3. Short. Carlton the rebound. O'Connor takes it away. We welcome all of you who have just watched Duke take down Louisville in overtime in a thrilling ACC title game. Ryan Rucco, the Hall of Famers, Rebecca Lobo, Holly Rowe, our rules analyst, Dee Kaner with you in Greenville, where Texas got off to a 14-0 start. Now 16-5, make it 18-5 lead for the Longhorns. These two teams meeting for a 7th time in the last 421 days. In each of those meetings, they have both been ranked in the top 5 in the nation.
Texas got off to that 14-0 start because of 5 live ball turnovers by South Carolina that resulted in 10 easy points for Texas.
And a South Carolina team that coughs up fewer live ball turnovers than anyone in the nation. Harmon short on a 3, and Edwards the weak side rebound. Raven Johnson being stretched out for South Carolina. Maddie McDaniel in. Tessa misfires on that. Here's Lee, quickly up with the rebound. South Carolina trying to win a 4th straight SEC title game. Texas trying to win their first conference tournament in the SEC as Cunningham banks it in. Carlton and Cunningham so effective on both ends to begin this game for Texas.
And now 14 of Texas's points have come in the paint, a couple post moves, and primarily off of those turnovers and layups.
14-2 edge in the paint. Here is Edwards, guarded by Carlton. McDaniel a 3, that is good.
Great sign for South Carolina, not only for the points, but you saw how far off Rory Harmon was playing off of McDaniel. She's going to force Harmon to be a little bit more honest defensively if she can hit that shot.
Shot it at 36% this season. Cunningham drops in another on a gorgeous delivery from Rory Harmon. Rhea Cunningham 3 for 3 to begin this game at 22-8. Texas lead over South Carolina. Largest deficit of the SEC tournament in 8 seasons for the Gamecocks. And a foul here on Cunningham will send Tessa Johnson to the line. Start of the game, just remarkable defense from Texas.
They were all over the place and had active hands. Justice Carlton, the 4-player, gets that one and goes the other way. And then Madison Booker pokes it free, going the other way again. 2 easy buckets. And then help side on point one more time, and Texas was off to the races, but great energy by the Longhorns to start this game on the defensive end.
And you had asked Vic Schaefer before the game whether or not he would have to be a little more conservative in his defensive approach, whether that meant going zone, whether that meant just not guarding 94 feet, and he shrugged that off. They have looked energetic to begin this game on the defensive end.
He said you can't ask your team to bring a little bit of an edge and then sit in a 2-3 zone.
Because Vic emphasized that if you're going to beat South Carolina, you need that edge. They are so tough. They're so good defensively. You've got to play with that level of toughness yourself. Lee through the left side of the lane, draws bodies. Booker in a crowd. Can't hook it in. Booker comes up with the offensive rebound. Carlton will fire and hit. Justice Carlton has 11 first-quarter points. Edwards, the spin, the kick. McKeer drains the three.
McKeer was huge in the second meeting between these teams. Not only hitting a three, but getting it going offensively. And she can be so disruptive with her length on the defensive end of the floor as well.
Carlton muscles in and finishes again. Justice Carlton showing a level of offensive aggression I'm not sure we've ever seen.
Terrific footwork. She's playing with just the right pace. The confidence that we're seeing from her when she gets the ball on the block.
13 for Carlton. She's 6 of 7 from the floor. Shot clock turned off. McDaniel going a little early. Dowdy gets denied. Booker with it. 3 seconds left. Harmon with 2. Harmon will take off the mark, and that'll do it for the first. Texas a 27-12 lead after 1 in the SEC championship game. What an opening quarter for Justice Carlton with 13 points. Well, thank you, Vic. Thank you, Holly. Here's what's at stake for Texas, trying to win their first SEC Conference Tournament title, their 13th overall. Meanwhile, South Carolina trying to win their 10th and a 4th straight. Texas a 27-12 lead over South Carolina. The Longhorns 138-1 under Vic Schaefer when they take a 15-point lead. Their only loss against Oklahoma back in 2024.
Justice Carlton in the first meeting between these teams back in November had 13.6 offensive boards, but I don't know if she was this deadly this early.
Vic Schaefer yet to make a substitution either. He is riding what's working. Hey, coming up next on ESPN, we finish up Championship Sunday with a Phillips 66 Big 12 title. It's West Virginia taking on TCU. Congratulations to Duke on their ACC tournament title. Thrilling game they played against Louisville as Jordan Lee will check out. Aaliyah Crump in. Crump was not available in the first 2 meetings against South Carolina. The number 5 overall recruit in the nation this year.
She brings a scoring presence from the perimeter. Also really good size at the guard spot on both ends.
Here's Harmon working behind Cunningham. Little mid-range, won't go. Good box out from Mokat. McKeer flings it down the floor. Edwards waits and lays it in. Plus the foul as Crump picks up the personal.
One thing that South Carolina does really well as a team is look to pass the ball ahead. They know their bigs like to run. Here, McKeer sees it. It's a tough catch, too, for Joyce Edwards because she had to turn as she was running, but corrals it, finishes it with contact. So many good get-aheads by South Carolina.
Edwards misses the free throw. Edwards, with her first points of the game, has been so good thus far in the SEC tournament. Here's Crump. Crump putting it on the deck, fading away, and popping it in. We talked about it. She just has some serious offensive talent.
McCart was the one who was coming out to contest, and she was still able to hit it over her.
McKeer, a good take. Flips it in.
She's such a talented young lady, McKeer, and the fact that she is only a freshman and is going to get better and better.
Dawn Staley telling us he looks at a guy McKeer and thinks she probably is their most talented guard when it just comes to pure ability. Harmon spinning, dishing, Crump. Back iron and off. Edwards the rebound. Look at a push. Gets it ahead. McKeer can't finish the lay. Great pass from Edwards. McKeer just couldn't finish it. Raven Johnson back on the floor for South Carolina. After she was being stretched out in the first. Lob it in, O'Cott with the steal. Here's McDaniel. McDaniel accelerates, Euros. Net Harmon and lost the basketball.
Raven Johnson in with McDaniel right now, and they've kind of settled down in terms of their turnovers a little bit.
Booker to the corner. Harmon bounces underneath. Cunningham can't finish it. O'Cott the rebound. Let's check in with Holly.
Well, Rebecca, you just talked about it. Maddie McDaniel and Raven Johnson not always on the floor at the same time, but Raven went out with some cramping. She was getting massaged and stretched up behind the bench, pounding the Gatorade. She expended a ton of energy early in this ballgame on defense, and right now she doesn't have to chase Rory Harmon because Maddie is doing that for her. So really smart substitution here for Dawn Staley.
All right, Holly, thank you very much. Here's Raven Johnson spinning. And if that's Booker, that's going to be number 2. And it is number 2 on Madison Booker. Foul trouble was a huge factor when these teams met in Columbia. Second meeting of the season, which South Carolina won, and now Booker will go to the bench after picking up her second.
Multiple players had 2 fouls in the first half for Texas. The first time these teams played, Jordan Lee had 3, but Madison Booker is, of course, the biggest, most important piece for Texas, and she will be on the bench for a stretch now. And, you know, Holly talking about Raven Johnson and her cramping. Remember, this is the 3rd game in 3 days, and she exerted a ton of energy yesterday, having her career high with 22. Really good yesterday.
How about that? South Carolina's largest deficit after a first quarter ever. Quarters began in women's college in the 15-16 season. Faced a 15-point hole after 1. But now, can they take advantage with Booker on the bench in foul trouble? One of the things, you just heard the reaction from the crowd. One of the things Vic Schaefer emphasized to his team was, he said, you can't let them get a single 50-50 ball all game, because this crowd is going to go nuts, and it's going to spark them if you do.
And he said, this is a road game for us. Forget that neutral site stuff.
Lee. Three to shoot, stuck. Ladson on the steal. Tornabee's in. The freshman. Raven Johnson lifts up and drops it in. The lead is down to single digits. Crum banks it in. Big bucket from Aaliyah Crum. And the 6-0 run with this crowd going crazy.
Especially a freshman. The first time she's been in this kind of a moment in a Texas uniform. That was huge.
And that's going to be a backcourt violation as O'Cott could not connect with Johnson.
Raven Johnson has had success this year being defended by Rory Harmon, getting in the paint and still elevating and scoring over her. She hit a couple huge ones late to seal the win in Columbia.
Raven Johnson, a career-high 22 points in yesterday's win over LSU. Also had 8 assists in that game and just 1 turnover. Judd lost it. Last hit, her. Good D from Raven Johnson. It's South Carolina basketball. Maddie McDaniel was about to check in for Raven Johnson. Now will. I think Dawn Staley was trying to make sure Raven was okay with what Holly was detailing. Then Raven said, no, I'm all right. But Maddie was already on her way in. Inbound, dangerous. Ladson comes up with it. Tornabees lays it in.
Latson knew that whole time that Tornabese was just behind her, so she waited to the perfect moment to deliver her the basketball so it would be an easy layup.
Preston. Oh, Preston with the scoop lay high off the window. That's going to be an offensive foul on Tornabese. Bree Preston fired up, went right over to the Texas bench to chest bump Rory Harmon. Dawn Staley frustrated and communicating as such to Joe Vasili. I can understand why Dawn Staley was frustrated. A beautiful shot of Greenville, South Carolina. The site of the SEC tournament. Texas, a 33-22 lead on the Gamecocks. 4:59 to go in the second. You see the ladies getting ready for the Sargento halftime report. UCLA dominating the Big Ten. How about the ACC OT thriller? Janae, Drea, Christine will have you covered coming up at the half. Ladies did a wonderful job with game day earlier today to tip off Championship Sunday here on ESPN. I like when we could see them too. You know, get non-verbal interactions with each other, send little hearts to one another. Yeah. Under 5 minutes to go in this first half.
South Carolina coming out for the first time in a 2-3 zone.
And Maddie Booker still on the bench with those 2 fouls for Texas. Crump can't hit. Good box out by McKeer. McKeer, Tornabese, McDaniel, Edwards, and Latson the 5 for South Carolina. Tornabese can't hit that 3. Carlton, Crump, Lee, Preston, and Oldacre for Texas. Rory Harmon getting a breather as well for the Longhorns right now. Crump, you bet! Aaliyah Crump has been critical for Texas off the bench in this first half. Seven points for Aaliyah Crump as that foul is called on Carlton.
This is one of the things that Crump brings to the table. You see the screen against the zone. Nice dribble, penetrate, and kick by Preston, and then a nice open look for Crump.
How?
Well, guys, as you remember, she missed the first 15 games of the year with a stress fracture in her foot, and a lot of people would have redshirted, not played this season. She was the #5 recruit in her class, but Vic Schaefer has said she is so highly motivated. Her skill set is off the chart, and they are so grateful that she chose to sacrifice for her team this year, come back and play after missing so many games.
Holly, outstanding stuff. Meanwhile, that's what Texas does better than anyone in the nation. Force 5-second violations. We saw it yesterday against Ole Miss. See it again today. They've forced 14 more 5-second violations than any other team in the country.
Raven Johnson made the right decision, though. You just kind of eat the possession instead of forcing the ball in and perhaps leading Texas to a layup the other way. South Carolina back to their man-to-man now.
I was one off, 13 more than any other team in the nation. Let me finish the broadcast. Don't kick me out. Oldacre gonna get the whistle. Dawn Staley now is very frustrated, feeling like Tornabese had good defensive positioning there. Let's see. Dee Kantner, our rules analyst, with us. What do you think on that look, Dee?
Well, I think we know what the South Carolina fans think.
That's for
Actually,
sure.
from the trail position that Polani Spurlock has on that play, she sees the laying of the hitting down, Tornabese hits down, hits her on the arm. So that's why she called it.
She sees the arm go down rather than say straight up. That was Texas's first free throws of the game. Haven't needed the line. Oldacre went there 13 times in the semifinal yesterday against Ole Miss. Foul here on Preston is her first. Wait, if you're Texas, I mean, the way they've been able to survive thus far with Booker going to the bench with his second foul, they've actually increased their lead.
Yeah, you're happy if you can just tread water with Madison Booker on the bench.
It's a 7-0 run. Here's Edwards. Edwards leans in, can't finish. Rebound Oldacre. Preston, super speedy point guard. Lee in the corner, connects. Texas is rolling in Greenville. A 10-0 Longhorn run. And it's Lee and Crump providing the offense. Tornabees way off. Lee hastily up the floor.
One thing we're not used to is Texas having two spacers on the floor at the same time. Players not only capable of taking threes, but willing to take them in a little higher volume. You have that with Lee and Crump.
Here's Preston. Off to Crump. Lee fading, taking, no. Tornabees the rebound. Under 2.5 to go in this first half. Edwards so dangerous in transition. Gets met by Crump. Goes back up and lays it in. Now this game obviously significant because it's the SEC championship, but also, according to our Charlie Cream, the winner of this is likely to be the third 1 seed. And that would mean playing their regional in Fort Worth rather than Sacramento. Big for South Carolina, not having to go all the way out west, but even bigger for Texas, since that would essentially be a home site in the Sweet 16 and Elite 8.
Vic Schaefer clearly very aware of all of those things.
He said, I'm not going to dangle it like a carrot to my team today, but yes, I am very aware of its importance. Nice look, Raven Johnson to Edwards for the finish.
Great cut, and Raven Johnson read it the whole way, knew that Edwards was going to cut back door, fed her the basketball.
41-26, Texas in front. 1:20 to go in the first half.
Do people still dangle carrots?
You know, I haven't examined that, but I'll keep it in mind. As Texas throws it away, South Carolina basketball.
How fast Brianna Preston is, and she just pushes the pace, sucks the defense in, and then delivers the ball beautifully to Crump in the corner for the good-looking three. And then here, the back screen by Tanaya Latson. That's what gets Joyce Edwards free, and Raven Johnson knows it's coming.
Johnson and Preston fall. Here comes Tornabees. Handing it off to Johnson. Vic Schaefer is very upset about something. Here's Raven Johnson on the drive. Lost her footing in the basketball. And South Carolina turns it over. See what Vic is mad about on the inbound. Joyce Edwards was sending Raven Johnson away. And did Raven, what do you think, D? What are you seeing there that Vic might be upset with?
The position of Raven Johnson on the floor is not legal guarding position, and so she ends up tripping up Preston, and that's what he once called a foul on Raven for tripping Preston up.
All right, thank you, D. Here's Lee, little mid-range, is good. Jordan Lee and Aaliyah Crump leading the offense for Texas in this second with Harmon and Booker on the bench. Booker because of foul trouble, Harmon just getting rest. Third game in 3 days for each of these teams. Carleton pokes it out of bounds. A dominant first half thus far from Texas. Keep in mind, only once in the last 6 meetings between these teams has a team scored more than 70 points. Texas putting up big numbers in the first half. Preston denied, and a foul as Bree Preston will shoot 2. Yeah, I mean,
that looks like it's all ball. Was the fall on Tornabees?
It was on Tornabees.
Yeah, it looked to me like it was all ball.
D, your initial look?
I can't defend that one. I have to be honest with you. It looks like a clean block. Probably got a little active, reactive on the whistle a little quick, that's all.
And you can understand why Dawn Staley is so upset, and you can see Dawn taking another look at it. As Preston misses the first. Call that foul on Maddie McDaniel. Not on Tornabees. It's McDaniel's first. Both free throws missed. Shot clock turned off. That's a foul on Carleton. Second foul on Justice Carleton, and free throws. That's just not a smart foul from Carleton. You already have one. You're also now going to put South Carolina at the line. Give them a chance for a couple more points at the end of a half where you played so brilliantly.
And so far away from the basket.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes as big players, you get caught for fouls just because of the physicality inside. That one's silly.
Tessa Johnson buries the free throw. Tessa's been held in check in his first half, just 1 of 3 from the floor. Texas as a team has shot at 59%. Crump off the deflection, 4 seconds left. Crump bounces, Cunningham lays it in at the horn, and Texas will take a 17-point lead into halftime in the SEC Championship. Vic Schaefer's with Holly Rowe.
Coach, how crucial was it? Madison Booker's on the bench with those 2 fouls. You didn't just hang in there, you extended the lead. What does that tell you?
Got a good team. You know, they're playing well, playing with confidence. They came ready to play today. I'm really proud of them.
What's essential for the second half with this big lead?
0-0. You don't play to the clock, you don't play to the scoreboard. It's 0-0.
Thank you, Coach.
All right, praise the Lord, no more.
Well, Texas 1-10-0. Went leading by 10 or more at the half under Vic Schaefer. And well executed at the end of the second. 17-point cushion for the Longhorns over the Gamecocks. Time to send things to the studio. Christine Williamson, Andrea Carter, and Chiney Agumake. Take it away, ladies.
The offensive end was impressive.
Take a look at the first half stats. Texas 128-0 when leading by 17 or more under Vic Schaefer. South Carolina's largest halftime deficit in the SEC tournament under Dawn Staley, and Texas a big advantage in the paint and off of turnovers. Let's check in now with Holly Rowe.
I was able to check in with Dawn Staley at the half and ask her what did she say to her squad in the locker room. She said, we just got to believe. Down 17, 18 is the largest comeback a South Carolina team has ever had in school history. So it will take an insurmountable, is it an insurmountable task? She doesn't think so. She said, I believe we can do it. They shot 60% in the first half. That's not going to happen in the second, and our defense can help dictate that. So she said, our guys, we have to believe, and I think they can do it.
All right, Holly, thank you very much. Let's take a look at what you need to know now, presented by Intuit TurboTax. 7th meeting in the last 421 days for these two teams, all as top 5 opponents. South Carolina has won 4 of the first 6, including the SEC title game last year and in a semifinal of the Final Four. Remember what else is at stake here, according to our Charlie Cream. The winner of this game would secure the 3rd 1 seed, which would mean having their regional in Fort Worth rather than Sacramento. So significant to both teams, especially Texas. Here's Edwards. Off to Latson. Edwards pushes it up and in. Joyce Edwards, a good poised bucket to start the second half for South Carolina.
The initial part of that play was trying to get Okart a touch and good look inside, establish yourself in the paint for South Carolina. Edwards was able to.
Wow, what a cut from Booker and delivery from Harmon.
Just completely clear out the right side of the floor and let Madison Booker back cut.
Booker was on the bench. Final 7 minutes of that second quarter with 2 fouls, and Texas not only kept things steady, but actually increased their lead. Here's Raven Johnson. Johnson, tough shot, but hits it.
And Raven Johnson can bail you out, and that's what that was on that possession, because Texas was denying any other pass that Johnson could try to make.
Carlton looking for Booker. Instead, it's Lee. Lee thought about shooting. Couldn't quite get a handle. Harmon got fouled by Raven Johnson. And it'll stay here.
You see these two going back and forth, and as Raven Johnson is backing her down, D, am I right that you treat that defensively like it's a post-up? It doesn't matter if it's a guard or a big.
Absolutely, they're considered a post player in that position.
So you saw the physicality. It doesn't matter that they're guards. Wow, Tessa Johnson just lost Rory Harmon.
Wow! And then Harmon volleys it in with the left hand. Okada shot it well from 3. Missed that one, knew it right away. Tessa twisting and banking it home. South Carolina getting buckets now on this end against Texas. Can they get stops?
That's the question.
Texas shooting at 61% from 4. Rory Harmon has something going on with her lower back. She's been grabbing at it in the lower right part of her back.
Kind of grimacing as she's running to the other side of the floor as well.
Booker goes baseline, elevates, and dumps it in. Big time bucket from the All-American Madison Booker. Was the SEC Player of the Year last season. This year, that honor went to Michaela Blakes of Vanderbilt. Poked out of bounds. The WCC men's bracket quarterfinal action tonight. 8:30 Eastern on ESPN2. Oregon State and San Francisco, Santa Clara and Pacific. Winners move on to face Gonzaga and St. Mary's on Monday night. Edwards. Cross court, too tall. Ends up deep in media row. 11 turnovers for South Carolina. Turned it over 20 times in their win against Texas. In the regular season, Texas had 22 turnovers in that game. Carlton flashes, takes, back iron it off. Cunningham the O-board. Cunningham gets denied. Now saves it to Lee. Okada on the rejection. Lee rummaging inside, can't finish it. Raven Johnson comes up with it. Looked like Lee might have gotten hit on the arm. Okada misses the banker, and Cunningham secures the glass, her 7th rebound. So far, through 3.5 minutes of the third, Texas has maintained that 17-point cushion. Booker. Dishes out. Carlton. With a hand in her face, gets the whistle against Edwards. And Carlton will go to the line on Joyce Edwards' first personal.
Just as Carlton was on fire in the first quarter here. Yeah, it looks like she got it right on the forearm.
Yep, right. Actually, maybe not. D?
I think it's more the wrist. She doesn't allow the follow through on the shot. I don't see the hit on the arm, but doesn't allow the follow through on the shot, therefore the foul.
Carlton, thank you, D, our rules analyst, who officiated 26 Final Fours.
Yep, thank you for that angle. It is Carrie, our producer, was wonderful for that angle. I wish I would have had that always on the floor. You can see, hit her on the wrist.
So the correct call there. Carlton has 15, doubling up her season average almost. She had 13 of them in the first quarter. Okada creeping down with the dribble. Okada looking for an angle and traveled. Yeah, she was seeking that space.
South Carolina's just out of sorts on the offensive end of the floor, and the reason they're out of sorts is because of the pressure of Texas's defense, denying passing lanes, just making things very hard.
12 turnovers now for South Carolina. Cunningham, center of the lane, little hook shot, that one won't go. Tornabees is fouled by Carlton, and that'll be a third on Justice Carlton. And coming up next on ESPN, we finish up Championship Sunday with the Phillips 66 Big 12 title, West Virginia against TCU. Three fouls on Carlton, who stays in the game for Texas. McDaniel burrows in and banks it home.
Really nice job by McDaniel to get in there. She was off balance, still able to score. Uses her quickness to get inside oftentimes. She then delivers a pass to a teammate. That time took it herself.
This crowd just needs a mini run, and we have seen how they will explode with excitement. But South Carolina give it to them. Booker fading away, can't hit, rebound, loose, another O board. Carlton has that one.
How patient has Texas been this entire third quarter when they've gotten in the quarter court, running what they want to run.
Booker drops it in. 9 offensive rebounds for Texas, and they make that one count for 2. Booker with 6 points in the quarter after she was held to 4 in the first half. Tornabees finishes plus the foul. That's going to be number 4 on Justice Carlton. Texas midway through the third, a 17-point lead on South Carolina. Gamecocks trying to make a push. Straight SEC tournament championship. 9 SEC titles since 2015 under Dawn Staley for South Carolina. No other team even has 2.
Just an incredible run of dominance by the Gamecocks.
But today it has been all Texas thus far. They jumped out to a 14-0 lead and been able to maintain a comfortable cushion. Ashton Judd hits the little baseline J.
Ashton Judd just came in the game after Carlton picked up her 4th. Nice little welcome to the third quarter for her.
19 matches Texas's largest lead. South Carolina last had it under 10 with 5:31 to go in the second. Latson off, Harmon the rebound. South Carolina just cannot find that rhythm. Latson scoreless so far today.
And one of the reasons they can't get stops on the defensive end, they certainly haven't been able to fuel their transition offense going the other way. We saw how potent that was against Kentucky in the quarterfinals.
Booker off to Judd. Judd racing inside, knocked out of bounds, stays here with 8 on the shot clock. Wanda Sykes catching the action today. Sitting with her wife, Alex. They helped to bring the WNBA expansion team to Philadelphia. Aiming for a 2030 start there. We got to see Wanda at the WNBA Finals a couple years ago as well.
That's right. Big women's basketball fan.
Booker's jumper, no. Edwards the rebound, she's fouled by Judd. You can see Vic Schaefer telling Ashton Judd, calm down, don't do that. Third team foul on Texas here in this third. One of the things, I mean, teams are going to be tired, right? Playing the third game in 3 days, always. These 2 teams are 2 of the best conditioned teams in the country, though. We see that year after year with the way Vic Schaefer and Dawn Staley prepare their teams. McKeer will go to the line to shoot 2. The SEC men's basketball tournament begins Wednesday at Bridgestone Arena in Nashville. And the SEC Network will have all first and second round games, as well as the late quarterfinal matchups. First round coverage begins at noon Eastern with the SEC Now crew. So the men's tournament in Nashville, Vic Schaefer brought up a couple days ago, hey, it's tough winning this SEC tournament when it's like a South Carolina home game in Greenville. Said, you know, he was talking about the idea of rotating it, and then he said yesterday, he said, my wife tells me I'm getting killed for my comments. I just want to be very clear I love Greenville, and they do an unbelievable job with this event, which they do. And he wanted to make sure people knew he was not criticizing the city, which he is very fond of. Just the idea of how difficult it is when it's always here in the Gamecocks' backyard. As that's going to be an offensive foul on Judd, and Texas turns it over.
South Carolina has led the nation in attendance. The university has led the nation in attendance for over a decade. As you see the foul, yeah, clearly a moving screen. They've earned having the tournament here in Greenville. This place is packed.
Another tremendous atmosphere here today. Here's Latson. Giving it up. Tornabees. Dishes out. Latson, that's a foul on Cunningham. Her third. Texas over the limit. Free throws for South Carolina.
And South Carolina has done a good job the last couple of possessions, attacking and then getting fouled and getting to the free throw line. And that's one way to dig into a big deficit. Shot clock, or the clock stopped, and you're getting points on the board.
Oldacre will come in. Cunningham out. Harmon, Lee, Oldacre, Booker, and Judd. Tornabees, Edwards, McKeer, Raven Johnson, and Latson, the 5 for South Carolina. Latson still yet to score after missing that free throw. Latson was so good the first 2 games of this SEC tournament. Leading scorer in the nation last year, misses both. Oldacre flags down the rebound. Up to Harmon. Harmon will dance away. Vic Schaefer wants her to slow it down, run a play.
They've done that all quarter. They have not gone fast if there hasn't been, you know, a breakaway layup. They're taking care as best they can of this big lead.
Harmon, pull up, rims off. Oldacre after it, so is Booker. Volleyed about 6 times before it lands with Latson. Latson in a crowd, in trouble. Latson, and that's going to be a foul on Booker in her third.
But it looked like South Carolina was going to have numbers, was going to have a transition opportunity. Texas gets back. The active hands prevent anything easy in terms of a easy layup for South Carolina and something that can get the crowd going.
Latson will go right back to the line where she just missed 2 free throws. 80% on the season. And hits the first. So Vic Schaefer is leaving Booker in at the moment with the 3 fouls. 3 on Booker, 4 on Carleton. Nobody on South Carolina with more than 2. And the only player with 2 is Raven Johnson. Cunningham also has 3 for Texas. 15-point game, 1:35 to go in the third. Big 12 championship game up next on ESPN. Booker weaving and denied by Edwards. Edwards couldn't handle it, out of bounds, stays here. South Carolina, Rory Harmon saying, hey, take a look at appealing that. And Texas is going to. Texas is going to appeal this out of bounds. As Rory Harmon immediately said, hey, go appeal it. Vic and his staff took a look, and so will we. Who does the last touch? .113 to go in the third quarter of the SEC championship game. Texas, a 57-42 lead on South Carolina. And Texas appealing this out-of-bounds call was called. South Carolina ball. It looks like it last hits the pinky of Joyce Edwards. Let's see.
After review, this is a successful appeal. It last went off white. Texas will not lose their timeout. Resume play with the Texas throw-in.
All right, so a successful appeal for Texas.
Assist to Rory Harmon for immediately turning and looking at her bench and doing the twirly bird finger.
They were about to play, and there were some cheerleaders still on the on the court. The officials had to tell the cheerleaders, hey, you got to go.
I've had many times where that happened, trust me.
That's the difference in the game. The 14-0 run that was the first 3.5 minutes of the game, where Texas just blitzed South Carolina and turned them over. That's been the difference.
Turned them over 5 times, which resulted in 10 points. Here's Booker. Gets to her spot. Raven Johnson on the contest. Booker wanted a whistle, did not get it. Inside of a minute to go in the third. And South Carolina closed the quarter with some momentum. They've trailed by as many as 19 here in the third. Tornaby's getting a lot of minutes in this one. Tornaby's drops it in. It's down to 13 for the first time in a while. Got a 5-second difference, game and shot clock. Vic Schaefer wants Rory Harmon to wind it down. Not leave South Carolina too much time. Here's Lee. 5 to shoot. Harmon, baseline jumper off the mark. Raven Johnson the rebound. 4 seconds left. McKeer gives it up. Johnson, did she have time for it? No. Couldn't make that pass. And a 6-0 run to end the quarter for South Carolina. 13-point Tech. Coach Staley, thank you, Holly. Start of the fourth quarter of this SEC championship game. Texas a 13-point lead. South Carolina did end the quarter on a 6-0 run. You see how Texas over the last 2 seasons has dominated all other opponents. Just 2-4 against South Carolina, including dropping this title game last year.
South Carolina, nice job defensively in that third quarter, holding Texas to 31%, getting to the defensive boards. They're going to need a similar effort here for this comeback here in the fourth.
Texas has not scored in the last 4+ minutes. Carlton on the bench with 4 personals. Raven Johnson comes up with a steal. Here's Johnson pushing it up and off. Harmon the rebound.
You saw Texas start the third quarter with a back cut to Madison Booker that was successful. They tried to do a similar action to start the fourth.
Now we have not seen Aaliyah Crump yet in the second half. She was fantastic in the second quarter for Texas. Here's Booker turning the corner and laying it in. Madison Booker, who had a career-high 31 in the semis last night, with 12 so far here today.
Vic Schaefer wants to see Madison Booker not settle for the mid-range at times, to take it all the way to the bucket. She did there.
Raven Johnson, and a whistle will go against Ashton Judd.
See Madison Booker as she puts the ball on the deck. This is exactly what Vic Schaefer was talking to us about. He said when she gets a big switched on to her, don't settle for the mid-range. Take it right at them. She takes it at Tornaby's, both Tornaby's and Edwards.
Booker with 8 in the second half. Edwards drops that one in. Joyce Edwards with 10 points. Harmon separating from McDaniel.
How many times have we seen this in the second half? Harmon just retreat and make sure they set up an offense.
Booker gets fouled trying to lay it in. Madison Booker going to shoot 2. Let's check in with Holly.
Well, Vic Schaefer told us this cool story that happened yesterday in this semifinal game. Something he's been on Madison Booker is to improve her leadership. So look at this. Mississippi pulls within 2, and she's like, get over here, let's get together right now. Vic said, I didn't even need to go in the huddle at that point because Madison Booker had it. That is the next step in her evolution, to take over and be the voice of this team. That was a really big moment for Madison Booker yesterday to show her coach that she is listening.
Holly, we just saw that, what she did in the huddle. She was doing that throughout the game yesterday as well against Ole Miss, just being very vocal, talking to her team. You see her right here, even on the free throw line.
First player this century with 30, 10, and 5 in an SEC tournament game yesterday in that win against Ole Miss. And you could see Vic just standing outside the huddle in that shot. He was letting Madison control it. He gave her some time before he then entered it. Taya Sidbury now getting some minutes. Coming in for the first time today. Here's McDaniel. Got fouled by Harmon, and McDaniel will go to the line as Rory Harmon picks up her first. Harmon, one of the best players in this program's history, came back for another year. She's also another year removed from her ACL, and had her burst back. Just a terrific floor general for Texas. McDaniel misses the second. Good box out, and a whistle against Edwards. And that is going to be the third on Joyce Edwards. Booker, Judd, Cunningham all with 3. Carlton with 4 for Texas. Edwards the only player with 3 for South Carolina.
Texas has done a really nice job this entire second half handling the full court pickup by South Carolina's defense.
Booker trying to get it to Oldacre, was yanked by McKeer. That'll be a third team foul on South Carolina, not even 2 minutes into this fourth quarter. See Tessa Johnson on the bench. She can be such a flamethrower on offense. Just 4 field goal attempts in this game for Tessa. Booker spinning, forced it up and off. Tornaby's big time rebound. Here's Ladson dashing ahead. Ladson lays it in. Does that get South Carolina going a little bit? 12-point game. Crowd imploring a stop. Sidbury, touch pass, 6 to shoot. Harmon, she got it. Big bucket there from Rory Harmon with a well-used shot clock as well. Ladson tiptoes, kicks out. McDaniel has it taken away by Harmon. Pushes it out to Edwards. Ladson in the corner. Eyes the clock. Trying to make something happen. Cannot. Oldacre there for the stop.
I thought there were a number of times on that possession where Tornaby's was wide open on the perimeter. She's very capable of making threes, but her teammates never got it out to her.
Raven Johnson getting ready to check back in along with Tessa. Oldacre needs some help. Finds it in Harmon. Back to Oldacre. McDaniel comes up with it. Here's McDaniel finding Edwards. Lays it in. Plus the foul. And a chance for 3 for Joyce Edwards.
That possession started with good defense on one end. Tornaby's held her ground and then pushing pace the other way. McDaniel with the pass to Edwards. You've mentioned it, the crowd just looking for a reason to come alive here.
And Vic Schaefer had said to us before the game, there may be times where I'd rather you just sit on it and take a violation than throw away a live ball turnover. It really felt like that was the #1 key, that's how South Carolina gets going. Seemed like that was one of those possessions. Harmon was kind of stuck baseline and ended up springing what is a 3-point play and some momentum from this crowd. Booker in the backcourt, facing pressure, gets it across the lead. Lee, the crossover, the attack, lays it in, plus the foul. Jordan Lee flexing after a huge bucket for Texas.
Really nice take by Jordan Lee. Joyce Edwards came over and then had to stop so she would not get a foul called. You see her come over and then, oop, who did foul?
I believe they called a foul on Tessa Johnson. Lee misses the free throw. 6 minutes to go in the fourth quarter of the SEC championship game. Tessa Johnson way off. Lee the rebound.
That was off because of a terrific contest by Madison Booker.
Remember, it's not just the SEC title that's on the line. According to Charlie Cream, the winner of this game will also be the third #1 seed. The other would be the fourth, but the third would have their regional in Fort Worth. So big stakes. South Carolina a little closer to home, and for Texas, it would be like a home game in the Sweet 16 and Elite 8. Edwards leaking out, couldn't finish. The follow won't go either, and it's out of bounds. It'll stay here. And Bree Preston saying, hey, take a look at whether we should appeal that or not towards Vic Schaefer. Justice Carlton going to come in now for Texas after being on the bench for a while with 4 fouls. Sid Berry out. Texas is still considering appealing, and now they're being told, and Vic is being told, no, don't appeal.
Smart, though. Vic Schaefer sends a sub in, buys himself a little bit more time for the video person to review and see if it's something they should appeal.
South Carolina has not been within single digits since it was 31-22 with 5:31 to go in the second. Texas has maintained the comfortable lead after that 14-0 blitz to begin the game. Okot twisting and banking it in.
When she caught the ball up top, Dawn Staley was stomping her feet and yelling, shoot the ball.
She has shot it well from 3 over the last few weeks. 5 minutes to go in the SEC title game. 11-point Texas lead. Lee a 3 is good.
Couple possessions in a row now for Jordan Lee. Big buckets, the drive, and then the 3.
We saw her coming on around this time of year as a freshman last year. She is critical for Texas. And huge buckets in this fourth quarter from Jordan Lee. Preston content to let more of the shot clock wind. Preston behind the back, looking for an angle, fading, no. Carlton knocks it into the arms of Okot. Here's Raven Johnson. Raven Johnson flips it in. That's what South Carolina needs. They cannot have many, if any, empty possessions at this juncture. 3:45 to go in the fourth quarter.
Texas has been so good and deliberate with their clock management here in the second half.
Lee, not that time, follows it up, takes it out, runs more clock. I mean, they've really done it the entire second half.
Entire second half. It's a hallmark of a Vic Schaefer team.
Making it a low possession game in the second half. Preston behind the back, will pull and hit. And then Preston gets a tee as she taunted Maddie McDaniel after the bucket.
Bree Preston hitting the tough shot, but you cannot do that.
Show the stack deck with you, Holly, Drea, Christine, Chanae, Charlie. Break it all down for you on Sunday. Now McKeer gets 2 free throws, misses the first after the tee from Bree Preston for the taunt following her made bucket, but McKeer misses both free throws. Just tough for South Carolina to not take advantage of that opportunity if they're going to come back here with 3:16 to go.
Interesting to have McKeer shoot those free throws. She's 73% on the season.
Because you could have anyone on the team shoot those free throws.
Wow.
And oh my goodness.
Rory Harmon could have gone in for a wide open layup and instead chooses to pull the ball out and use the clock.
But another turnover on an inbound. Here's Oldacre. Oldacre lays it in. So they still got the 2, and they took 10 more seconds off the clock. And this is just the second time in these 7 meetings between these teams over the last 241 days. Check that, 421 days, that a team has topped 70 points. South Carolina did it in the Final Four last year against Texas, and that's it. McKeer hits the jumper. Harmon. Gonna let more clock wind. Harmon finds the cutter. Lee, 2 more for Jordan Lee. 12 points for Lee. Lee and Crump, major X factors for Texas as they seek a deep run through March. And they both have shined here today. Crump hasn't gotten any second half minutes, but was huge in the second quarter. And Lee, big in both halves. As that is going to be number 5 on Justice Carlton, who got this game started with 13 first quarter points. Vic Schaefer's upset that that was a blocking foul rather than a charge. Dawn Staley told us before the game, she said, Booker is going to be Booker. Texas will rebound the ball. We cannot let the others go off. We can't let them be big contributors. And today, they have been for Texas. Justice Carlton with 15 on 6 of 8 shooting. Cunningham had a huge first half, has 8 points. Lee with the 12 points. Aaliyah Crump had 7 in the second quarter.
And collectively, what they did defensively, especially turning South Carolina over, a lot of it was the help side defense and active hands. They had collectively had the energy that they needed to at the start of this game.
Texas, who went to the Final Four last year for the first time since 2003. 90 seconds away from an SEC title here. Oldacre can't flip it in. Judd after it. Judd scrapes it away. More clock can run. It is all cosmetic at this point. Texas in control. Dawn Staley ready to empty the bench. Booker. Why not? A little icing on the cake for the Longhorns. As Ladson gets fouled with 57.7 to go.
How smooth is Madison Booker just stepping into that one. She doesn't need to say anything with her mouth. She said it all with her eyes as she just turns and looks. And when Texas gets a lead, their clock management, and Vic Schaefer's teams have always been so good with their clock management. It's been the entire second half. Those first 3.5 minutes set the tone for this entire game.
One thing Vic Schaefer told us before the game, too, he did not shoot around with his team, nor did South Carolina. But Vic is known for still having his teams in the gym, and he pointed back to when he had Mississippi State in the Final Four, and they had that dramatic win against UConn, and then he had them practice hard before the title game and felt like that might have played a role in their performance against South Carolina loss. He said, I've learned a little bit, kept them off their feet. Well, they have had their legs here in this championship game. And remember, this win, according to Charlie Cream, should make Texas the 3rd #1 seed and would put them in Fort Worth for their regional. Booker, you bet! A little smooth sauce from Maddie Booker to close things out here for Texas. McKeer can't hit, and a whistle as Booker is a little shaken up. And that is the last thing you want if you're Texas.
I think it was more frustration with the foul call.
Booker appears to be okay. McDaniel digs in, lays it home. 12.5 to go. Texas will be able to dribble this out. Harmon takes it across. The Texas Longhorns are champions of the SEC.
Vic Schaefer so often talks about toughness when it comes to his team, and they came out today and set the tone on the defensive end of the floor. Incredible toughness in a team that has been led by a superstar in Madison Booker. Had tremendous balance on the offensive end of the floor. Congratulations to Vic Schaefer and the Texas Longhorns.
Madison Booker and Vic Schaefer exchanged a combo right at the end of the semifinal yesterday. You may have caught that in the final seconds. It looked like a stern talk, a fierce talk, and Vic Schaefer said it was about him and Madison Booker and them talking about the goals they had here in Greenville. Well, they have achieved those goals in a dominant way today. 78-61 the final in the championship game over South Carolina as the confetti falls. And South